Imagine being lost in the middle of the most arid and silent desert of a fantastic world. The sun shines brightly, the heat distorts the landscape, and no sign of life is visible for miles. But then you see something that shouldn't be there. A small, stiff figure with arms raised, frozen in time. It appears and disappears quickly.
And when you least expect it, she strikes fast. I need to stop her. 1,000 cuts, 1,000 needles, 1,000 reasons to fear his name Cactuar. And don't be fooled by his silly appearance, his comical little mustache, or his strange way of running, because behind that look the innocent hides. If a more mysterious entity is recurring throughout the Final Fantasy franchise, the Cactuar doesn't scream, it doesn't threaten, he simply acts, and when he does, it's too late. You're about to plunge into a mystery that cuts across dimensions, breaks patterns of logic, and defies the natural laws of every world you step on. Who is this creature? Why does he appear in so many games? And most importantly, where did it come from? Get ready for the journey through the time of the games and two darkest deserts of the Querentes, because the Captor is not just a monster, he is an enigma, and today we will decipher it. Speak there, guys. Who speaks to you is Rodrigo Aaron, only RPG Games, Beauty, Quiet, and today we are going Captor. Captor's first official appearance was in Final Fantasy VI, known in Japan as Sabotender. Here he was just the secret enemy found in the deserts near the city of Miranda, with his conical ability to attack with exactly 1,000 needles. Movement that bypasses defense deals fixed damage. It surprised players by its small unpredictability and difficult to hit with high evasion. Kaito assumes as a kind of inside joke, but it soon became something much bigger. The question on the minds of fans was, why does this so caricatured creature look so specific and recurring? Why 1,000 needles? And why always in isolated places as if you had been waiting? In Final Fantasy VII, the Captor returned with even more force, now gaining a more powerful version, the Giant Captor. Here the game introduces the dark echo of the original version. This creature, in addition to being extremely rare, is found in the desert around Corel and even more hardy. Your ability turns into 10,000 nidals. A hit that instantly kills almost any character. At this point, Captor ceases to be just a curious monster and begins to represent an unexpected force of punishment. The desert is again the scene. Always the desert, always the silence before the attack. It's as if his very existence is tied to some ancestral curse from the Final Fantasy world. In Final Fantasy VIII, the Maito turned Captor now becomes a Force Guardian, a sumo. But to achieve this power, the player must face him on an isolated island, where he appears floating, observing the distance. The fight is long, treacherous, and when defeated, Captor joins you. It is here that the creature crosses the barrier between foe and ally, but even on his side he carries the same aura of mystery. His attacks remain coldly calculated, his expression remains unchanged. The Captor is not driven by emotion or justice, it is only a constant force, almost as blind as nature itself. Final Fantasy IX brings Captor back as a rare enemy that only appears in certain regions of the map. Here, the highlight is for its almost instantaneous escape ability. It stains, differs, and disappears. The idea of a natural vigilante gains strength, as if his mission was never going to win, but punish one attack, one errand, and he will. A presence that the shadow that watches over him is near, but never within reach. Already at the end of Sources and 10 we have the apex of the mystery. Kaito is now part of an enigmatic side quest, the Captor statues, each representing an ancestral spirit. In this quest you must find 10 specific captures, each with their own name, responsibility, rhyme, as if they were members of a clamillennial. They live in a kind of spiritual world, separated from time, and two steps, when brought together, open the way to a hidden treasure. Here the Captor is more than the monster, it is an entity with history, culture, and mission. Each of them holds memories, each step is part of a ritual. In the universe of Final Fantasy XI and XIV, cacti evolve into a kind of race, they live in communities and even take on social roles. In Final Fantasy XI, we encounter a figure known as King Cactore, a real and ancestral version of the species. In Final Fantasy XIV, cacti appear as pet NPCs, bosses, and even casino dancers, as in Gold Salse. Although they are integrated into the world, they never lose their essence, fixed stares, sudden movements, and electoral attacks. They are everywhere as if they were echoes of a primal force, a seed planted by Square Enix itself to represent something beyond. In Final Fantasy XII and XIII, they are not left out. In Final Fantasy XII, cacti are hunted as rare monsters, and their descriptions in the hunt suggest that they are creatures that exist between dimensions, traversing time as if they do not belong entirely to that world. In Final Fantasy XIII, it appears as hallucinations and mirages, confusing the player. Reality and illusion mix. What is Kato? A real creature, a reflection of guilt, a harbinger of punishment.
In addition to being strengthened in Final Fantasy Tactics, they appear as highly invasive creatures, reinforcing their idea of fugitive identity. In Chocob's Donjo are enemies that appear. The world of Final Fantasy Tater is literally a dimensional guide, a being who knows multiple realities, as if to say, I've been to all worlds and I'm in all of them at the same time.
But perhaps the most bizarre moment of his trajectory happens in Final Fantasy Type 0. There, Kato becomes the army's mascot and even participates in official events. But something strange revealed: they are used as messengers between dimensions bearing bad news, omens of death. It's as if the Final Fantasy universe uses cactus as symbols of the uncontrollable, the warning that chaos always comes. And in the midst of all this, a sinister theory arises among fans. Cactuar would not be a simple creature, but an interdimensional entity that arises in each world to maintain balance. It observes the imbalances generated by the player's actions, then punishes and does not laugh, does not cry, does not speak, but always appears when the world needs an adjustment. Maybe that's why he always attacks with a fixed damage, ignoring levels, equipment, or ability. He doesn't measure force, he applies sentence. And now, knowing all this, will you still laugh when you see Lo running around with those little arms? Or will you understand that it is behind that body of thorns and wide eyes, there is something much deeper, much older, and perhaps impossible to defeat? Because as long as you live in the world of Final Fantasy, the captor will find you too fast to stop, too lethal to ignore. If you enjoyed this journey through the mystery of Cactuar, I already leave your like, share with that friend who thinks that every cuddly must is your joke, and comment there which version of Cactuar, but did you get scared? Or what other character do you want to come here on the channel? Thanks guys, see you next time. And watch out for the desert, it may not be that empty.